My name is Temi, Amusan. It's going to be one-on-one with the Nigerian community of Rhode Island president. We've heard a lot about him before he assumed the presidency of the Nigerian community of Rhode Island. And now that he has become the president of the Nigerian community of Rhode Island, we will know what he's going to do and what are the challenges that he's going to face and what are the things that he actually set out to do, and we will be monitoring him on how he's going to achieve his goals. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Temi. Thank you very much, viewers, and it's a pleasure to be on one-on-one with African Heritage Television. My name is Deen. I'm the president of the Nigerian community of Rhode Island for the next 2 years, and I believe strongly in certain goals at the beginning of everything I do, because I would like to be judged with what I set to achieve and how I'm able to achieve them. We are starting an ambitious agenda with the Nigerian community of Rhode Island. Ours is an approach that is all-inclusive, everybody matters. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure that how can we get at least all the members of Nigerian community in Rhode Island, how can we bring them on the table, how can we include them in our deliberations. Like we said, it's Nigerian organization which comprises of the Yorubas, the Igbos, and the Amusans. So we're looking for, one of the first things we're going to be doing is how can we bring them together and to be able to get our organization running. The other aspect of my administration, which I am passionate about, is what kind of services are we going to render for Nigerians, because if we're bringing them on the table and we don't have something to entice them, to attract them, it's just like, you know, what am I coming to do? It's not coming to talk or coming to do any other thing or just for the fun of it. We have challenges in our community because of the way we are. When we have people that are just, you know, settling down in the state of Rhode Island, what are we doing? They're just coming from Nigeria or come from nowhere and they just settle down. What are we doing to support them as a community, to welcome them into Rhode Island? We're going to be putting programs forward for that. We have programs for like insurance, which I just get some information from, like about life insurance. In the past, when somebody passes away or something happens to a member of the community, we had to be running helter-skelter to be looking for, get $10 to get $20. Whereas I just found out that, you know, you can have a program that for a minimum payment of like $10, $20 a month, whenever anything happens to you, this program will take care of you, will take care of everything. In fact, to the departed, you know, we're not praying anybody should die, but this is a reality. Like Julius Caesar says, death is a necessary end that will come when it comes. So when this happens, how are we going to do it? How are we going to refrain from, okay, let's start running around for funding? But if we have this kind of program there that, you know, just $15 a month, if anything happens, they have program up to $20,000, up to $50,000. In case you want to carry the person even home for burial, they will pay for everything, and they have other programs. So putting things in my administration is going to put things in place to do that. The other things is like we want to recognize the elders in our community who have contributed passionately, I mean, to the development of their calling. For instance, we have Chino Achebe here, who is a professor and is in Brown University. I just had he had a colloquium, the yearly colloquium, that, you know, these are things which, these are fathers. These are people who have achieved, even people that are not Nigerians, they recognize him. We want to bring him, we want to appreciate, we want to recognize that we really are proud that he is a Nigerian. And these are things we want to put even our government in Nigeria, we want to put them to task. What do they have to offer us? What do they have? And a lot of us, like a lot of people, our dreams is we want to go back home. How is home going to be? You know, what are the things that are there for us to attract us to get to go home? What are the things a lot of Nigerians here will go home and we try to put up houses and properties and everything? Why don't we involve people who are in that real estate in Nigeria? They'll come to talk to us. How can they can make it happen? You know, many of us, it's like when you build a house in Nigeria, you have to build it from the scratch and all that. But in this community, you enjoy mortgage. How do we work with that kind of a situation? And the youth, I so much cherish the youth, and because I know there's no future without the youth. My intention with my administration is to bring them to the table, listen to them. I've asked for suggestions from people, and they're bringing like, okay, some people, they want to know their heritage. They want to be able to track. They said, some of the youths addressed me. She said, I only know my father and my grandfather. I don't even know where I come from. What is my heritage? What is the linkage? Why can't we put something together that will be able to establish that, okay, you are son of this person is son of, you know, like the heritage tree that, you know, you can trace back this. I want to be able to do that. We want to be able to have scholarships. Yes, we can. And you know, these goals might be ambitious. We might not be able to get everything done, but if we start and we get like a pass mark on 75% of it, we're leading. Just like Mayor Tavares was saying the other day, he said they started political advocacy for Latinos 13 years ago. And when they started that program, they thought that it was a joke. And that time when they started the Political Action Committee, he was not even a member. But now he's a proud Latino member, a beneficiary of that program. So we are not looking at what we're going to do now and finish, but we're looking at what we can establish, we can start, that the future generations will take from.
That is very good and tall ambition, Mr. President.
Thank you.
But I will tell you that we want to set a goal that is achievable.
Yes.
We do not want to model everything up and end up getting nothing.
That's true.
We don't want to be like Nigerian politicians that will say, okay, I'm going to build this road, I'm going to do this and that and that. When you tell them to break it down, they don't have a way of breaking it down.
Okay.
So we do not want that. But my own thing is this. Since you are assuming the presidency of, I've worked with Adewusi. Adewusi has been on my program, both the radio, the TV, and probably the newspaper, for more than 20 times, if I will tell you. Sure. Because if he set a goal, I'm going to make sure we monitor him. We've done a whole lot of free services for him to the tune of probably, to the Nigerian community and the African community in general, to the tune of probably a lot of dollars. And we cover so many programs, from the passports to the 51st anniversary and stuff like that, free of charge.
Right. So
I'm going to give you the tips of those things now to study and see how we can improve. You're talking about heritage. In the 51st, I believe Ms. Nkolika was there. I'm not very sure. But in the 51st anniversary, children were talking, and some of them were saying they want to go back home. Some are saying, I don't want to go back home, and stuff like that. Why? Because their parents are not even going home.
Okay.
So how do you tell somebody that the parents are not going home to visit Nigeria?
Okay.
So that is another segment. Okay. But the youths are very important, like you rightly said.
Right.
Because the youth are the future.
Right.
How do we find something that is interesting to the youths? What program do you exactly have that is going to be interesting to the youths?
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for asking that question. In the first instance, when you mentioned about setting things that are not achievable, I don't believe in that. I believe sky is a limit for any ambitious fellow, and nothing is impossible for a willing soul. Those are my guiding personal belief, and I think that our Nigerian community is not the first I've been to be leader of many organizations, and I'm proud because I have the track record. I'm not going to work alone. I have able people to work with. In the current dispensation, there are 3 past presidents. Mr. Raphael, like you said, he's been in the community for a lot of years. Mr. Nkolika, they've been, we're working with experienced people, and this is going to be easy for us to be able to do. And we have 2 years. It might be too short, but it's a lot of time to be able to put things together. The youth, like I said, I was asking them. What I do is I ask them to give us what can we do. You can't determine a program for a person if the person is not interested in it. So the question we're asking them is, what do you want us to do for you? What are the things? You see the heritage issue.
What are the feedback that you're getting?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I had a lady who gave us 10-point items that we can do to help the youth. One of them is they want to be able to know their heritage. It's not really going back to Nigeria to find their heritage, but here, have a forum that brings adults, the fathers and mothers together and say, okay, I heard this is from, this is my father, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. So it's not like going back home and looking at, okay, I'm from this state and all that. So that is the heritage part of it. And one of the issues they also brought us is that many times the youth are very engaged. They have a lot of commitment and everything. We can have programs like, let us have sit together. That's the way she puts it. They said sit together means even we're having programs and we're reading out, we're studying for exams. We can have programs that takes us to the library while we are studying. While they're studying for the examinations or while they're doing any other study, they're also looking at other things to do. They're bringing ideas and suggestions, and these are the things we're going to be working with.
Oh, that is good. I mean, I've been called upon by some white Americans, let me just put it that way, to come and speak on behalf of Africans. And they said they cannot get African leaders that will come and educate them on the dimensions that Africans actually want to go through, the origin, the states of Africa, the continent generally, and stuff like that. They said they do not know where to go, but when they listen to our program, because our own program is the only African program broadcasting in the whole one socket, you cannot just ignore us because we are on air, and that is the only radio station in one socket. And we broadcast through Providence, Pawtucket, and even some part of Mass. So yeah. Friday, you are forced to listen to us between 11 and 1. The mayors and everybody, they listen to us. Some people calling from school to some white Americans and said, okay, why are you doing this, why are you doing that? They ask us questions that are germane to African interest. But unfortunately, we do not have the Western Hemisphere of Africa participate. We have the Pan-African. I think I've seen you within the midst of the Pan-Africanists. Yes. They have a strength of almost 4,000 people in one socket alone. That's true. I've been trying to organize them to be able to put up somebody for an election there. Yeah. But you know, we are very passive. People are afraid of immigration, police, and stuff like that. But I'm just going to put that aside for now. Right. I want to know your views on Africa generally, because Nigeria is the leading factor in Africa. Right. And I know that other part of Africa are having problems with election, leadership, and all whatnot. You, as the president of the Nigerian Community of Rhode Island, how can you step in and help them organize? We're not saying impose yourself on them. How can you step in and help them organize their own territorial too? Because what happens in one corner of Africa will definitely affect the other part of Africa. What can you do in that position?
Thank you very much for asking that question. You were mentioning the issue of Pan-Africanism earlier. It is something that one has to think about and work on. The issue of electoral or political situations in Africa is not a one-day problem. It's dated back to the history, and I think a lot of the reason is that we are selfish. I mean, every man, every human being has some protection for himself, but we're selfish. We look at ourselves before we look at other people. And that informs why somebody wants to be in power for 30 years or for like, okay, if I leave the position, I have to put my son in there. You know, it's a crazy orientation and or belief that we have. But you see, the essence of us being in diaspora is that we are tasting a different world. We've seen a different thing entirely. We see the Americans run elections and they don't have shootings and killings and arsons and all that. We see them losing and accepting the defeat and just, you know, gracefully accepting defeat and willing to work with other organizations. And you see that you cannot change a cause if you yourself, you are not a believer in that cause. If anything happens, we bring ourselves together. The last election we had in the Nigerian community, we had people who we contested the same position together. But even after the election, they came up and they said, okay, you know, I did not win, but I'm ready to help you because the orientation has changed. Now, what we need to do is to change the orientation. One of the ways of changing the orientation is participate. You see, there's a philosopher who said the price that is paid by not engaging in things is that you'll be ruled by the fools. That is it. If you do not participate, if you do not take part in the political change situation, you cannot make any positive change. But unfortunately, those of us who are here, the people from this country who lived here, they saw it happen, they see how everything is there. When they go back home, we encourage them to contest elections, to participate in a particular dispensation.
How do you help the Ghanaians that are in court now, the Liberians that are almost killing themselves every day? How do you, like I said, Nigeria is one of the leading factors in Africa. How do you step in and stop? Because this has been going on in, I know you have to face your own situation first, but how do you step in and help them? Because if their community is, especially the Liberian community, with almost about 20,000 population in Rhode Island alone, if you can, how do you help them organize themselves?
Okay, thank you very much for asking that question. We have a role to play as Nigerians because there's this saying that out of every 10 black, there are 6 that are Nigerians. We have 160 million people in the population. But you see, to some extent, I'll credit Liberian because something wonderful happened in their just completed election. I was in the Oasis office. They had the election at the Oasis office, and 750 people paid $5 each to contest, to be able to vote in that election. At the end of the election, 400 and something people voted in that election, which is huge. Nigerian that even as established as we are, as better as we are, we did not even have to 200 people who voted. So we voted free. So for somebody to even pay to vote, that shows the person is interested in it. Now, but the outcome of an election, we should always look at it and okay, it's not a win, do or die affair. So what we're trying to do is like the only way I think we can help the other our brothers from the other communities is through this African advocacy group. We're bringing in leaders from Liberia, leaders from Ghana, leaders from Gambia, leaders from Nigeria. Let us brainstorm together. Let us, be able to think together and make positive change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obiyemi. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
We'll be getting you back here.
No problem. I'll be here.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers. Have the honor of meeting one of the best voice in the Nigerian community of Rhode Island. She is a lady that is so dynamic. She actually outperform and outweigh some men. If you don't put up your pants up very well, she's going to run you out of office. I have the benefit of letting Ms. Nkolika introduce herself to my viewers.
Wow, I can't do that justice. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nkolika, Onye, and I'm really glad to be here. It's an honor for me to be here today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nkolika. I've talked to the president of the Nigerian Community of Rhode Island, and he has said much about what the team, I'm going to call it a team, what the team intends to do in the next 2 years. And you, as a member that has been there for a while, that is very experienced, how do you think you can support Mr. President to achieve his goal? What are the ways? I know that funding is one big thing that you cannot do anything without funding. How do you want to go about that?
Well, no man is an island. I think that as part of an executive team, all of us will be working together to put an infrastructure together to build upon what is existing now, and to work together to build upon that infrastructure and to really actually realize and continue some of the tremendous accomplishments that have already occurred. So we talked about the fact that although we did not have tremendous numbers of people that came out for the election, we had quite a number. Yeah, a number in the hundreds. And people actually came out and spent time to actually vote because they felt it mattered who was going to represent them in the next 2 years. So I think that says a lot about the Nigerian community. Now, one of the things it shows me personally, but I think all of us in general, is the fact that people are interested and they are concerned. And that we can't judge interest by actual physical appearance, that there are other things that matter as well. And that people care. They want to see some accountability. and they want to see things progress for the community. So I think our job as a team is to work together to, number one, really identify and solidify and focus those goals, and really make sure that we have a plan that is a multi-year plan. And that's really important so that the next administration that comes in can continue the work that we're doing. So we've been very blessed to have an outgoing executive team that did a fabulous job, that had a set of goals that we can continue to build upon it and add our own. But I think it's about focus. It's about really working as a team, working collaboratively, making sure that the lines of communication are very, very open amongst the team itself and also with the community. Making sure that we've identified goals and making sure that we're really holding ourselves accountable, not just to the easily attainable, what we call low-hanging fruit, but that we really have those ambitious goals, as the president has just shared with you, and that we're working towards attaining those goals. It's not always about accomplishing everything all at one time. It's about having a real clear plan that people can follow and that everyone understands and everyone is committed to, and working towards that. And then passing the torch on to the next group of executives to continue that work.
Very good, very good. But how do you draw in female members? Because I've been to the Nigerian community of Rhode Island meeting and stuff like that. I can see the dearth of women activists. Let me just put it that way. How do you use your power and your position as an executive? How do you draw the female members? How do you draw from the general public?
Right. So I think, that's an ongoing challenge, I think, for not just our organization, for organizations, African organizations all over really the country. But I think one of the reasons I'm proud to be part of this organization is because there has been definite outreach to engage women into the group. That's really how I got here. Just a few years ago by, the former president actually reaching out to me personally and asking me to please try to come as much as possible, and other members as well. I'm hoping that other women in the community will see me, and perhaps that will be their impetus to actually join. But I will be outreaching to quite a few of the women that I have encountered at the various organizations that I belong to. And we're just going to continue. We have a great, I'm really excited about the public relations office with the two gentlemen who will be heading that, and I'm sure that we'll be doing quite a bit of communication and outreach in general, but I think we need to do some outreach specifically to our women to come out and to support the organization. And they also have to see they have to have a vested interest. So we have to make sure that we have programs that are actually focused on actually bringing women in, things that are interesting to them, things that they care about as well. So you have general interests amongst the community, but there are certain interests that are focused specifically on men and women, and we need to focus more on those that are of much interest to our women as well. Our women, our mothers, our young and our old.
Will you personally take the phone and call Miss X, Miss Y, and Miss Z to
Absolutely, why not? Absolutely. I'll call. I love calling and I love texting. I love sending massive texts out, and I tend to be told to stop sending messages, but I think that that's how we communicate. So I will call and text as much as possible. I'll even visit people's homes if that's what it takes to bring in new membership, particularly female membership. I think that's critically important. There's power in the female, and I think the more females that we can bring into the organization, well, particular power.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Nkolika,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.